In the dark, creatures crawl into the underworld. Afterlife, Anubis protects you. In the light, goddess of the sun brings you life. A deity, best it is her name. Come learn the ways of man. Become one with the sand. The fate is in your hands. It's time to fight. You will rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Capture the earth, chasing your mark. Get like mystical formation. Turn on the walls, beat on the drums. Let us claim this is war. In the dark, a river flows. The Nile is so big power. A morning star is seen in our sight. In the light, find your desert altar and your shrine. Look for peace, defeat the enemy. Run to the obelisk, defend this legacy. Fly to your destiny. It's time to fight. You will rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Capture the earth, chasing your mark. Get like mystical formation. Turn on the walls, beat on the drums. Let us claim this. We rise higher, reach for the sky. Hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark. Get ready to fight for your life. We rise up. We are the kings, we are the queens. We are the gods, gods to solve this animation. Turn on the walls, make it our mark. 'Cause we are the kings, we are the queens. Let's win this war.
What is going on, Governors? Chiskel here, and today we're casting the finals of Ark of Osiris League Season 8. It's Game 3 with 60 GT versus 489, and joining me today is a host you'll recognize, that's Plato Gaming, and a host you may not recognize, that is Silentflow, one of the leaders of 93 and a leader of their Ark team. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hey, Jess, thanks for having us. Super excited to be watching the Game 3 of 60GT 489. It's going to be a good one.
Thanks for having me. Should be a fun game, and I'm actually pretty excited for it.
You know, I agree. It's not every match that is really, really close. But these two teams feel like they've got a heck of a series going. In the first game, we saw 489 win by about 7,000 points. And then in game 2, we saw GT win by about 7,000 points. So the game swung by like that 7K number. What do you guys think is going to happen here in game 3?
Well, for game 1, GT were running unusual skills, which are mostly used in the Chinese OL, and it didn't really work out for them. They used 9 points for the first arc, and they ended up losing. And then, because of that, they always were one skill less for the entire game. Because if you are losing by more than 6k points, you will generate more points, like twice as fast. But that didn't happen for GT. And they were using also different pairings for the first game, but they went back to the meta picks for game 2, and they readjusted their skills, which won them 3 arcs. That's why the big swing at mid.
Yeah, it really was a huge swing in points. Now, I have been saying for a while that we will often see teams make adjustments, and then the game flips to the other side. So is this 489's time to adjust? Plato, do you think 489 can make changes here, or is GT just so dominant in the middle? I mean, if they can't get those arcs, is it GG? What's going to happen here?
Yeah, it's gonna be so important to get those arcs, and 489 just failed to do so last match, which was kind of a shocker because of how dominant they were in that first match. As Silent said, 60GT changing back to the international meta, changing back pretty much mirrored skills from both teams in that second game. And 489 in that last arc fight just did not have the same amount of points as 60GT, which is a rare mishap, a rare flaw from 489. We saw the documentary that Rise of Kingdoms posted about them being so particular, being so meticulous about their skills. We'll have to see if they could bring out this game.
Yeah, those mid fights I think are going to define who wins or loses this final round. And there's only so many things you can do to improve the quality of a mid fight. And it'd be interesting, Silentflow, to get your perspective on this as well. But the things you have to work with is how many marches are in the middle. You have the way people are playing while they're fighting in the middle. And then there's things that are out of your control, like, look, you have the equipment you have the armaments you have. Once you're in the match, like, you can't really change that around. And then the final, I guess, factor would be like what skills you're using. Are there any other things you think could be sort of changed that would influence the outcome of this mid fight?
Honestly, I think GT has been better during their openers because 49 is always the last to die on the buildings and they always have people late. And I think their mechanics are pretty much the same. I don't think there's any account difference. It's honestly mostly down to like having fewer numbers at mid. And after that, it's which team gets the better engage. Because when you're this close in skill, honestly, like 1 or 2 turns at mid, like having 1 or 2 turns more extra rage could be the deciding factor.
There you go. Getting to mid on time, everybody. I've been saying for a while that like you want to hit harder, you can just have more people there and like that'll get the job done. Now, I think in just a moment, I actually can jump into the matchup, which I will do. But if you had to guess, what do you guys think the final score is going to be for this match?
I think less than 5k points difference for like either team.
Yeah, I'm saying this. I'm seeing the same thing. Like the past couple of matches have literally come down to a final arc difference of points. So I think it's going to come down to that final arc yet again, and maybe even a closer margin, maybe like 3k.
Okay, so 3 to 5k game here. This is going to be a close one. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way for a game 3. I hope it comes down to the wire. Let me jump in game here and we can start to comment. We've got about 2 minutes as they prep for battle.
Honestly, for game 2, even though 49 did lose all arcs, if they had won the third arc, I think they would have won the game. So even in games where you lose 2 arcs, you can still win by just winning the third arc.
For sure. It's like a 8k point swing with that final arc. 4k points away from your opponent, 4k points towards yourself. So exactly as you said, Silent, it's comes down to those mid executions. And both teams have shown to be really good at mid fights, but it really matters on which team has the right skill usage and which team rotates first.
And I also want to point out something that people might not be aware is that GT is running more backups, which means they can afford to have people at the start and assign them different things, and then they'll exit the game. And then other people will enter and they can just send to middle. which allows for easier rotation. And I see 49 doesn't have that luxury. They have about 5 backups. This is why they've been a little late to the middle. Because I know people have been asking, why do they group so far back? This is most likely the reason. Because they need to play it safe so they don't get engaged on early.
That's a really interesting insight. I wonder, so you can leave the match while your troops are out of your city? Is that right?
Correct. Yes, you can leave at any time you want. You just exit and then someone else can enter in your place and they just send to middle. They don't have to worry about dying early or getting stuck on the sides or anything like that.
Interesting. Well, the match is about to begin, but I want to dive back into that a little bit. Here we go. March is leaving their city fast. T1's on their way. We'll see how this race goes. Energetic from both sides. I mean, at this point, Silentflow, would you say this is very much what we would expect any top tier team to use?
I mean, yeah, if you use energetic, you will have 10 points right after arc starts. And if you were to use something else, you would have only 8 points. So, I mean, at this point, it is a must-use skill for any team.
Got it. Yeah, I think we've been observing it for pretty much every team throughout League. I'm not even sure what play you might make, but it would be kind of cool if in future seasons they add an alternate sort of skill that you might consider using at the start that gives you some sort of advantage you'd be really sort of excited to have. But for now, it does seem like you want to win more. Pop energetic. Both teams, by the way, seem about even for when they're getting these structures. Yep, obelisks flip at about the same time. Looks like it went to 489 slightly faster. Of course, a part of that has to do with positioning your players when they enter into the map, sort of in the exact spot in the starting zone that you want, so they can get to those buildings just a little bit faster. But every single detail here is optimized. And look at these rallies coming out now. All the way down. Oh, I thought it was going through the middle, but maybe not.
Yeah, it looks like we are seeing no outpost rallies or obelisk rallies. And the thing that's interesting, Chisco, is the prioritization of the outer lane versus the inner lane in the first fights before Arc. I know some teams, they like to prioritize these outer lanes, the Sky Altars in particular, to drag out the fights, make people rotate late. So we'll have to see which team, or if any of these teams are going to be prioritizing the structures early, or if they're going to be prioritizing that first pivotal arc, rather, to make sure that you have control of the amount of arcs that are spawning and essentially control of the game. So
let me ask this question following on to that, with regard to like the strategy that these teams use. Sometimes we talk about the idea that a team might go for a building strategy rather than an arc strategy. But I'd be kind of curious, Silentflow, for your thoughts. Do you think a building strategy could be a viable alternative here? Or do you think really it's all about the arcs?
I mean, honestly, Fortnite is very flexible. I do think it could work for them because, I mean, they've proven that they can beat GT at middle. And if you execute it very well and you go full buildings, you have about 7k point lead, and then that would be 4k point lead when GT delivers the arc. So I don't think it's very possible, but you might have to provision.
And on the topic of provisioning, what do you guys think the provision score is going to be at the end of this match? I mean, I'll point out, we just finished saying how more people in the middle means more likely chance to win. If you had people for provisioning, you're probably pulling them to go to middle, right?
I mean, if you want to play full mid, you cannot afford to provision.
Yeah.
Because honestly, even like 4 marches make a big difference at middle when you have everything equal.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
I would say less than 1000 points provision if they're doing passive provisioning, which is instead of reinforcing a building, you will go into a tile and then you go back into the building when the rally hits. That way you can get some extra points.
We see some of the first fighting happening. Wait. What? Where is everybody? Wait, where are they going? They don't see each other. They're walking right past each other. This is actually happening. Wait. Hold on. I'm confused. I'm looking at the desert altar. 489, where are they going? They have
I'm
no
not
one
sure if
there.
that's a misplay by them or they're trying something different, but I guess
They're walking back.
That is
Yeah,
either
they're
a
walking
huge
back, so it
misplay or
must
they're
be a
doing
misplay.
something really sneaky. But this looks like a misplay. 9 seconds until this can be captured. They don't have anybody there. Oh my goodness. Wait. This garrison's gonna get completely ambushed.
Wow, able to get in there.
I mean, the fog of war. Whoa, he got in! Wow! What a recovery! What a recovery!
007 sneaky tactics going through into that desert altar. 60 GT definitely could have went in there, I thought, Jiskel.
I thought they were gonna take that for free. Jeez. I need a minute to recover from what just happened because
I think nerves are getting both teams right now with that play. What is going on?
I mean, give that garrison captain a raise because they just saved that situation from being a catastrophe. Wow. Okay.
you can see that GT lost intentionally the fight on Desert Altar because now 489 has marches stuck on the Shrine of War. And those marches will be slightly late for middle.
Yeah, that fight was not what I was expecting it to be at the Desert Altar at all. And with, you know, a good rule of thumb I find is like 6 minutes. If you're in like this outside lane, you better be thinking about getting the middle if you want to be there on time, depending on how early you think that fight's going to happen. So there's a lot of marches here committing to combat for 489 that may not be able to make it to middle in time. We'll see.
They're trying to push on the Sky Altar of GT to interrupt their first occupation bonus to keep some people back during middle. Otherwise, that's a 1500 point swing. So I'm curious if it's going to work out for them or they're going to have trouble with mid rotation.
Wow, they have so many players committed to this. I mean, they definitely have enough time here. On the topic of potentially going with a building strategy, taking an enemy altar for the initial capture points is definitely a great way to go about that. 50 seconds left, though. I don't know. If they don't get pressure onto this building pretty quickly, they're not going to have enough time to get the first capture points.
Yeah, I think 60 GT's main goal, as you said, Jiskel, is to secure those first capture points. 750 for the altars is nothing you could just give up for free. We've been seeing a lot of Eleanor garrisons in these structures. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on Eleanor and the meta? Just seeing so much Eleanor in these structured garrisons here.
I think Eleanor is the play because it's also a cav garrison, which allows you to bring reinforcements very fast. And she's actually surprisingly tanky. She can sustain a swarm and a rally, which allows you to just focus down the rally, kill it. Because there's always a garrison in the rally. Even if you lose your building, but the enemy doesn't have a garrison, you can still retake. But once they have a garrison inside, it makes everything harder.
We see that Eleanor has held on. So first capture points go to GT here. And although I think 489 will probably take this building, there it is. They do not have a lot of time to get to the middle, do they?
I think GT are just gonna launch a rally on Scouter and just head to middle and let the rally do its thing. Because there's no garrison.
This is a very interesting sight to see. Just red marches standing side by side, 489 running to 60 GT cities, trying to sad face as fast as possible, while 60 GT trying to get back to their own cities to refresh. And I think this was the plan for 60 GT. All they needed to do was get the first occupation points. They could, as Silent said, just rally down this altar Now 60GT in this outer lane, they'll have like a minute advantage. The marches that were at that Sky Altar are now rotating mid. Meanwhile, the marches from 4 and 9 are still sad facing on these cities. And some of these cities even have Dragon Lancer as a garrison just so that it is even that much longer for those troops to get back to the city. So I think this mid fight is going to be super hard for 4 and 9 to win for this first arc.
Here goes that rally, as predicted by Silentflow. Let the rally do the work if there's no captain. And, you know, often you leave a skeleton crew inside one of these buildings anyways, because you want everybody in the middle. And you're either making a play for arcs or you aren't. And if you are, which I think both teams will here, you need everybody in the middle. I mean, you heard from Silentflow, even 4 marches makes a difference here.
I mean, I think 49 is looking good right now. They just need to wait because they have a lot of marches coming from the bottom side. So it's in their best interest to engage late. But I think so far it is better than the last 2 games where they struggle with having the people in the starting zone be on time for mid. But so far it's looking fine.
They have all their archer marches murder balled up into one area, and then the rest of the marches in another area. I kind of wonder what the strategy is. They have 2 different murder balls. I saw a bunch of...
They're gonna use sneaky tactics most likely. I mean...
Whoa, sneaky tactics? Wait.
Archer sneaky tactics.
I assume this is for a buff. Like, I think they just want to buff their archer marches for more damage.
They are invisible
I've never
now,
seen
right?
a murder ball of just Zhuge Liangs. It's like 30 Zhuge Liangs in one area. It looks so weird, but yeah, they are murder balling up now.
I mean, what do you do if your opponent uses sneaky tactics? It's like, wait, no, hold on. What is going on here? What are you up to? It looks like GT is not flinching, though. They're like, all right, fine. You use sneaky tactics. We're standing on the temple. What are you going to do about it?
Oh yeah, GT is in front of the tempo. All they have to do now is just wait. They have slight advantage because 49 has to engage into them, which they're gonna do in a second. We'll see if it works out with the sneaky tactics play.
So far, fewer points committed by GT. I expect that'll change. There's the engage. Heaven's Grace fires off for GT. Heaven's Grace for 489. Only 6 points committed by GT. Wait, hold up.
They're probably saving to use Bogdown in a second, possibly, but might be too late at that point.
Yeah. I don't know. That's really risky. That's really risky. 3 points of advantage here sitting in the hands of 49, which means if 49 wins this arc, they have a lot of control. But if GT wins this arc, they then have a point advantage moving into the rest of the game. But GT has to win this fight, or the gamble wasn't worth it.
Yeah, I mean, if GT wins now, they're most likely gonna win the next 2 arcs, but it doesn't look like it.
GT has to win this arc for this gamble to pay off. I mean, Silentflow, this is a huge gamble, is it not?
I mean, yeah, it is, because you do get 30% extra damage on your sneaky tactics marches when you leave out of stealth, but I'm not sure if it's worth risking. I think if GT actually went for maybe Bogdown and Heaven's Grace, they could have had a chance.
What a pull by 49. Wow.
Yeah, I just don't get the rationale behind not using more skills there for GT. I mean, I guess they see their last game and they're like, we won every arc handily, we're chilling. But no, like, not the case here. The sneaky tactics, exactly as advertised, did the thing. And they weren't even all that sneaky about it. They just buffed their marches with it.
It's possible that GT thought that they could win 1v1 and then deal with the marches later. Maybe they didn't expect actually for 49 to use those marches for the buff only.
Oh no.
And have a full mid fight.
Hey, Silentflow, can I get your official opinion on an arc carrier walking all by themselves?
I mean, as long as they have
Oh,
vision,
man.
it should be safe, which they do currently, but it's risky.
They have vision, and there's danger. Well, man, it makes me anxious. Every time I see this.
So many times. I've seen this script so many times from these two teams. This is the second series we've seen of 60 GT 489, or third if you count the rematch, with there being 3 games in those 2 series. We've seen arcs get stolen. It looks like this Osiris will not be able to steal the arc, but yeah, this solo leaving the arc by itself with a Zhuge Liang, probably not the best bet, but it looks like they do have some marches just escorting it, making sure that these fast marches don't get to steal the arc from under their nose.
I'm curious if this sneak attack is gonna pay off in the long run, because they've used 4 skills till now, and they have only 2 remaining, which most likely is to the death, because they like using that. But I think GT has advantage for later arcs.
I mean, these guys are going to have to hold the arc now, right? Because otherwise, if they cap this arc quickly, that means GT gets a huge ability point advantage, which they can't afford. So assuming that they're able to escort this arc to safety, which I'm still really anxious about, by the way. I am officially still anxious. I don't know. I mean, GT, are they going for it? They're not really going for it. If we look around the map, they're not really pushing there. They got a couple people here, but
GT likes to push the Desert Altar. I mean, actually both Scout and Desert Altar, but I don't really see them doing this. I mean, they just lost middle, and they have no pressure on the Desert Altar, and as you can see, 49 is gonna hit GT Scouter, so I'm not really sure what's going on there.
yeah, I think the arc's probably going to be safe. I mean, GT is still asking the question, like, hey, if you're going to leave this lightly guarded or unguarded, we're going to have somebody make sure you're staying honest here. But I think now this arc is getting safer and safer. GT putting pressure onto the Shrine of Life here. But circling back to that comment I made earlier, do you guys think they're going to hold this arc for a long time now?
They would have to until they have 10 points.
Yeah. Okay.
So I can see them delivering the arc at maybe minute 32, 33. That allows them to have 10 points for the second arc.
Yep. They got to try to nullify the sort of point advantage that GT has. And this keys back to the risk that I said they were taking is, man, if they lose that arc, those extra points just feel really silly right now. Is there even something productive they could do? Like,
I mean, at this point, they just need to hold their buildings, which they are doing very well. I don't really see much pressure from GT. They did take the bottom Shrine of Life, but that's not going to be enough, honestly, to make up for the gap.
Right. Even if it was an altar, like, they'd have to hold it for a long time to try to make up that point gap. In fairness, they do have a bit of a lead now.
I mean, it's only,
Yep.
yeah, it's only like 500-600. It's not really much, but it could change. We'll have to see when their second wave of players come into lane from the starting zone. Usually when you're pushing a lane, you have like a soft push and then you have like a hard push when you have more people coming in from the starting zone. But I mean, so far I can't really see anything special.
Yeah, I'm kind of cruising around the map, looking for the action.
It seems to be like a yo-yo of, I'm going to attack, I'm going to sad face, you're going to attack, you're going to sad face. Sometimes the yo-yo is a lot more, it swings a lot more where the structures actually flip, but so far this match, outside of that Shrine of Life that we're talking about, all the structures have been pretty much holding, which makes me think that this game is going to come down to these arcs because these teams are just so evenly matched. We've seen that there hasn't been too much of a difference in occupation. If there is a difference, it's because it's a purposeful sacrifice giving up some occupation score so that you could rotate mid faster. And that's why there's so much emphasis on making sure you win these mid fights, because now 49, they have all the control with this arc. 60 GT though, what will they do in the second arc fight to make up that differential?
60 GT is looking pretty good right now. They're pushing the Desert Altar. Meanwhile, 49 is still waiting for their rally. I think it's mistimed because GT can just take the Desert Altar now and then send all the Sat faces to go defend their Sky Altar. So I think it's gonna work out for them well.
This is gonna be the major test of Eleanor right here. If Eleanor is the goated garrison in Osiris League right now. But there are a lot of reinforcements coming from 489 from the south side of their own Desert Altar. Looks like 60 GT is going to be face tanking that there.
Yeah, this should be a good tussle we got going on here by this Desert Altar. Rally's connecting now. We see that Eleanor garrison that we've just seen all over the place here. And I would agree with Silentflow's assessment that she is surprisingly survivable in these situations. Although, you gotta have reinforcements come in.
Did we cast a Chris Stitches?
You gotta, dude, you gotta have reinforcements come in. Nope. Well, if you don't reinforce, it ain't gonna work. That was a pretty quick capture there.
Triumph of War also taken, so.
The caster curse, GG.
I'm surprised that GT
Pendulum's doing really well.
didn't have a full rally. Like, this is the second time I saw that they have a rally on the Desert Altar and it wasn't full. First time they had 700k, so that's 2 marches. Now they had 3 marches. They probably forgot to put their garrison because it just went down.
Yeah, that's a big issue actually. It was such a good capture, but like if there's not a garrison, it isn't gonna get it done. I was just about to say, it seems like GT was really kind of flipping the script on, you know, owning structures here, but that lack of a garrison captain definitely is costing them in terms of their ability to get some occupation points going.
I mean, for them, they just defended their Sky Altar and they got to keep the Desert Altar for a bit. So that's gonna be probably around 1k points for them total. So it worked out, even without a garrison.
So earlier in the stream, we were talking about meta marches. You mentioned that GT shifted the marches they were using. Plato and I have, of course, made our observations, but I'd be curious to hear Silentflow. What would you say are like the 4 or 5 meta marches you'd expect people to bring to an ARC match these days?
Well, GT were running XY William, which probably is slightly stronger for mid fights than Huo, but overall, when you consider that you have to play sides and sides is like most of the game, Huo is better. And I would bring, I mean, Scipio Liu, of course, is the primary infantry march, Joel Nevsky, Huo William, and the Herman Ziel.
No Belly Prime?
Belly Prime for sides. You could swap. I mean, you can use Huo Belly, and then for middle, you just swap to William.
Cool, yeah. I mean, the area of effect benefit from William is just undeniable, right? Like, the rage, the defense, even just the area of effect damage, which Belly doesn't have. Pretty valuable.
I mean, teams are still running Nebu for mid just because he has AoE, even though it is an older commander. But yeah, for middle, you want all the AoE damage you can get.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, now we're just in that mode where, as we anticipated, 489 is stalling, aka capitalizing on their ability point advantage here. Or really, the fact that they can control the value that GT gets from their extra ability points. It brings me back to that earlier question of like, geez, is there something GT can spend the points on to get some value here? Or do they just need to sit at 10 and wait for the next arc, even though they're capped out at 10?
In this case, they should not use any skills because 49 has the arc, and it could backfire like it did for 49 last game. They used Dust Up, and then GT immediately captured the arc, and then 49 had no skill points for middle. So I think the safest option here is to just wait, even if you are captain points.
That's a rough spot to be in, which makes it even like more emphasis on that critical decision to have not used those ability points in that first arc fight. But it could be that they've got some tricks up their sleeve with new skills on their bar. I mean, Sneaky Tactics is new. Do you think it's possible that GT's got some different skills they've saved up here?
It's possible, but unlikely, because they already know what works for them, and they proved it last game. So I would be honestly surprised if they have something different.
Yeah.
Oh, Arc has been captured at, well, Silentflow said 32 minutes. It was indeed 32 minutes. Now the score, 13.5k to 12.7, so 800 point differential, even though the Arc was 3k. 60GT kind of taking control, taking a slight advantage during that structure phase, making the game pretty much, I mean, it's close to an even state.
Yeah, no, GT did a really
fight.
good job there, evening up the score. Even though it didn't feel like, oh man, they're really dominating the buildings. Like the amount of disruption they were able to inflict there has done the job of kind of keeping this game pretty close.
Yeah, every single time a Desert Altar flips, that's minus 300 points minimum, because it takes 2 minutes to start generating points again. So you're disrupting the points from 489, even though they weren't able to, generate points of their own. Just taking chips and taking these little advantages is exactly what 60GT needed to do. And now it's anyone's game coming into the second mid fight.
Yeah, they're just doing a last minute push on the altars before starting to rotate middle. If they occupy the building here, that's a plus for them, but I don't think they're expecting to take anything. It's going to be very interesting to see for second arc if they will try Sneaky Tactics again for the buff.
Is there... Let's talk about that for a second. So Sneaky Tactics is 3 ability points. That's kind of awkward, isn't it? I mean, I guess, what does Bog Down cost these days? 3, right?
Bog Down is 4 abilities.
4 now. I mean, is there another 3-point ability they would pair with here? I'm just trying to do the math on how are they getting to a full 10 ability points. Oh, wait, hold up. Is that new? Stocking up?
Yes, so stocking up is when you provision and then you deliver and you get provision score, and it gives you energy points in return.
I don't remember GT using that last time, did they?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think I've seen any international team use, but it is very common in the Chinese OL.
This is interesting. So GT did bring a new skill onto the bar. What skill do you think they sacrificed to have that?
Maybe Total Vision, because
Yeah, I think it's Total Vision for sure.
I mean, it's countered by Dust Up, so it's not very useful unless you want to see enemy marches, because it does give you vision for 1 minute, and then you can see if it's worth engaging early.
Interesting. Well, maybe GT.
So I'm just gonna read it.
Gonna have some.
I'm just gonna read out the skill, Chisco, just for people that don't know what stocking up does. When the skill is active, for every 3 provisions your team gathers from caravans and delivers up to 1.5k provisions, your team gains 0.1% of an energy bar, lasts for 600 seconds, and it costs 2 skill points for stocking up. So,
Huh. I thought their energy bar would have been nearly full, though. So, it's curious that they're going for that.
It's possible that they use skills now and they wait on delivering the Gathering March, so they can have instantly more points again.
Yeah. This is going to be really interesting. all to Mo Garrison over here. Oh yeah, this player's got 200 million power. That guy's like, all right, fine, I'll just hit this other city. Thank you very much. Man, unfortunately, you kind of need everybody to have switched their garrison for this to work.
So far, I can see both teams having a decent rotation middle. I don't think anyone is going to have late marches. So it should be a pretty even fight.
Is this the to the death arc? Is this where you go for it? Or do you keep that in pocket?
I think it's safer to use 10 points, maybe something like Dust Up, Heaven's Bog Down. Because if you were to use to the death, it is a worse skill than Heaven's Grace.
Wait. To the death is a worse skill than Heaven's Grace, even though Heaven's is 4 and to the death is 6?
Yes, correct. Because you get 100k healing per march for your entire team. So the more marches you have middle, the stronger it gets.
That makes sense.
And to the death is only 30 marches, so...
It's just an issue of scale at that point. Yeah. But even in... I don't know. It just seems like the better skill, actually. Pardon me. Heaven's Grace. Like, there's no targeting on that either.
Yep, it's for every single march on the field. And to the death, it could work, possibly, but when you're using it, when everyone is stacked together, the buff could go on any march. Obviously, like, you want the buff to go on your archer marches, preferably, but it could go on your weakest march, like maybe a Guan Scipio, and that's not very optimal.
Would you rate the Archer March as the single highest DPS that you can bring? And I assume that's, Zhuge Liang with Herman Prime.
Yes, I think that's the best one.
I mean, we saw that earlier.
First.
Sorry, go ahead.
Good teams will pre-select marches before they engage, and they will always target the Archer March first. So it dies very fast.
Makes sense. I mean, we saw... Oh, there's GT Total Vision. So they have Total Vision.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's the correct play. It depends down 489 if they have Bog Down.
There's Dust Up. I see the energy bar flashing a lot here for GT. So I think they are now scoring provisions, perhaps.
Ooh, to the death.
There's the to the death call. All right. Blotto, I don't know how you saw that before I did. It showed up on my screen. Blotto's living in the future over here.
It's been hard to co-cast with you because you're reacting things 10 seconds late for me, so I'm just...
That's wild.
Here for the ride. Yeah, but the skills are in place. It was Heaven's Grace, Dust Up, Total Vision, 10 points for 489, to the death, and Total Vision for 60 GT. So, I mean, if Silence... I think this is going to be the biggest factor of total to the death rather versus...
Yeah, I would be really surprised.
Heaven's Grace. I will say though, the sad face train coming from 489 is pretty concerning for their side.
Yeah,
Arc
I like
is
to
spawning.
stay zoomed out here. Silentflow, when you're spectating this to figure out who's winning, are you zoomed in or are you zoomed out?
You have to be zoomed out,
Okay.
But the game updates every 5 seconds, so you could see more blue dots and then more red dots. But yeah, I think 49 is losing this. It's looking pretty bad for them.
Which is the opposite of what you expected, right?
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Wow.
And now they have the provision skill, so we should expect early capture of the arc.
Oh my goodness. This is really, really bad by 489. They are down in points as well. The provisioners from 60 GT, 1.1k provision score.
I was going to
already in
say,
this game.
that point jump came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was wondering where the points came from as well. I felt like the structures were all pretty even outside of the outposts. Outposts do matter, but 1.1k provisions. 60 GT bringing out a strategy which they haven't done the past 2 games. They didn't use this new skill. They didn't use stocking up before. Now using provisions, able to win this mid fight. What's the pathway back for 489 in this game?
I mean, they just have to push the altars heavily now and try to hold them for as long as possible, which they are doing at the moment. But I would be worried, honestly, with GT capturing it early, because I did hear that the stocking up skill gives you 5 points in total if you deliver the 100% maximum provision score.
Wow. So this could be a huge advantage for GT here for their ability points. And I expect that might be what we see. I mean, how did they have all those marches not in the middle? Oh, wow. Wait, I just had a Heaven's Grace? Wait.
Yeah, me too. I'm not sure if that's a spectator bug or they actually used it.
I think they used it. I see the pluses on all the marches, and they are healing in game. So perhaps with the extra points that they got from stocking up, they're like, okay, we're gonna get more points from stocking up. Let's just use Heaven's Grace so that we could heal our marches, defend these structures, and I would argue that means they're gonna be holding this arc until the end of the game. They're gonna make it a 2-arc game.
I was not expecting that Heaven's Grace at all. I would have expected them to go for another arc fast instead of holding.
I mean, they are up right now. So there's going to be an extra 3.5k from this arc when they capture it. Then they're just like, hey, let's use this Heaven's Grace, try to hold our structures as much as possible. Because as we were talking about, the only way, if they hold this arc, the only way that 489 come back into this game is if they take these desert altars and these sky altars from 60 GT. So just full focus from them, making sure that they are able to hold these structures, although the sky altar did fall. So I don't know, it's going to be an interesting play, and we'll see what 60 GT plan to do with this arc.
For the second arc that just happened right now, GT used 12 points for mid, which kind of explains why they won. They used Total Vision, Dust Up, and To the Death, which is 12 points. So I guess they timed their provisioners very good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Wow. There you go. 12 points versus 10. I mean, I think this is a new thing, stocking up, just being able to bank points, allowing you to go beyond the 10 points, which 60 GT did, and they now have control of the game because of that skill.
It's something I've sort of felt like for a while is something teams could be doing, is the fact that a lot of these abilities last a long time, and the mid fights do not last a long time anymore. Do you remember when mid fights used to like actually go so long that you could bring your marches back to the middle? Do you remember that?
Multiple times, not even once. You could come back twice.
Yeah. And the DPS has ramped up so much in the end game that that's no longer a thing. But if you look and spectate early Arc of Osiris League, which I had the privilege of doing earlier this season, like those mid fights take forever. And it's just not the case here.
When you combine armaments, special inscriptions, and also you have, I mean, it's just everything does so much damage. And in Arc you have 100% more damage buff, which should multiply with the special inscriptions. So it's no wonder that team fights, it's more than a minute. I mean, a minute and it's over. So you can't really do a retake. If you were to do a retake, you would have to send on the sides.
Oh, okay, man. This is going to be such a close one. But the point differential, 3.5k, we have to remember this, 3.5k in the hands of 60GT, able to capture it whenever they want to, 17 minutes left. Silent, what would you do if you're 4-9? What's the game plan back into this game? They have 4 altars right now. I guess just holding these for dear life is the plan?
I mean,
Well,
yeah,
Ultimate's
that's
huge.
the best case. You just hold for more points. You try to lower the gap, and I assume that they're calculating their skills. I'm hoping they have bog down for their last skill, because GT actually does not have bog down. So if 49 were to use bog down last arc, I think it would go pretty well for them.
You know, 4 altars is kind of insane here. If they could hold this for a meaningful amount of time, it'd be huge. But this attack by GT on the Sky Altar looks pretty undeniable.
The problem when you go
Eleanor.
for the problem when you go all mid and you have no rallies is that you cannot really gain a lot of points after arc. So even if 49 were to hold 4 outers, it would still come down to the last arc basically.
Man.
Some of these fast calves, holy moly. I don't know if they can get there in time though. They tried.
It was a great attempt. Like that was, I mean, they did their job in that altar. They actually started generating points for, I think, 1 to 2 minutes in that Sky Altar. So job well done for 4-9. They have to run it back, continue to keep chipping away. They're now up by about 800 points. So just continuously taking these altars, making sure that someone is taking the outpost as well. It's going to be so interesting because every single point matters in this situation, and you know, if everyone's going to these altars, that means that the Shrine of Wars and the Shrine of Lives and the outposts are going to be more open to be taken. So we'll have to see if 49 is going to be able to slip through 60GT's defenses to take these structures. But 60GT, they also took the Desert Altar as they took the Sky Altar. So doing exactly what they need to do. This is a pendulum swinging right now. Just now 60GT having the 3 altar advantage to the 1. It's going to be really tough for 49 to have a pathway back into this game, in my opinion.
It's also possible that GT does not play another arc, because I'm looking at it now, they don't have Heaven's Grace. It won't be up for the last arc. They don't have To the Death, and they just have 6 points to use for middle.
I was wondering about that. What's the cooldown on Heavens?
It's 20 minutes.
20.
So they will not have it for the last arc. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they will just play 2 arcs and then try to hold their buildings.
Yeah, they gotta go buildings. That is... I feel really weird about that use of Heaven's Grace. Like, how are we feeling about that?
I mean, I assume that it was in their game plan to play 2 arcs, do the gamble for the second arc, use 12 points, and then just hope that you can hold your buildings. It is risky though. They would have to be provisioning a lot right now, because they will be losing more points from the buildings.
They have 5 provisioners out, 6 provisioners out from, or 5 provisioners out from 60GT. I don't know if I see any provisioners from 489, so keeping that in mind, 60GT having the arc advantage as well as provisioners out in the field right now. Meanwhile, 489 in response have a 1.2k advantage on the scoreboard right now. Man, this is gonna be a tough one for 49 to come back from. I'm struggling to see an avenue for them to come back into this game.
49 cannot be afford to be losing buildings. They just lost their Shrine of Life for nothing, and that's even less points for them. And I don't know if they know that GT is provisioning, but it's not looking very good for them right now.
60GT has been kings of Anubis since they've entered Anubis. 489, you know, got the best of them in this Grand Prix. It's looking like 60GT coming back for vengeance, coming back for revenge, trying to have this last hurrah for them potentially this being their potential last season in Anubis, man, the storylines for this, the history between these two teams and the history of 60GT coming down to this last game, and 60GT looks like they're in the driver's seat right now.
Let me ask a question. Maybe I just was missing something here, but I mean, they've got another 4 minutes on this arc. Technically 4 minutes and 25 seconds. Did 489 pick up the arc and reset the timer? Or is it just the game even? I could have swore 489 scored the arc a little bit early, no? Like, how is this game going to be a 2-arc game?
It's possible they picked it up, but it is 15 minutes from when you take the arc. And they had their second arc fight at around minute 25. So I think it adds up. Maybe 489 picked the arc for a little bit, so they gave them extra 1 or 2 minutes. But even then, I think even if they didn't pick it up, there would have been enough time for last arc.
I think I do remember the second mid fight, 489 had the initial pull, but not for that long. Yeah, I think it's gonna barely be a 2-arc match. Like, I think the second arc might still spawn, but there won't be enough time for it to be captured. Unless there's a master strategies in the books, but that would be
well, okay, man, so let's ask that question. Is there going to be enough time for them to master strategist the arc back? Because that means GT will have to send presence to the middle, if that's true.
Assuming that they capture the last 5 to 10 seconds, there wouldn't be enough time now.
I will say that the game ends like 30 seconds to a minute after the timer ends. It's not exactly synced to the game clock, so that's why I'm like, there might be a small window where the arc spawns and then they could get in, but I'm not exactly too sure. But yeah, these structures flipping back and forth.
It's kind of
being
unfortunate
even
that
right now.
489 delayed first arc because they had sneaky tactics and they used 3 more points than GT, and that actually will probably cost them the game.
It won
Because
them the
if
arc,
there was another arc,
cost
they
them
would
the
have
game.
won the arc. Yep. So something that worked out in their favor for the first arc ends up losing their game.
Wow. This is I mean, we could look at the scores. 60GT is even coming back without capturing this arc. This arc, 3.5k points just in the pocket of 60GT. As well as so many provisioners out there. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 provisioners from 60GT right now. So just being active out there, just knowing that there probably won't be another arc fight. Just knowing that all they have to do is defend the structures, not even aggress and attack. And they're playing farm sim right now, generating points for themselves.
There's not much further I can do at this point because GT is known for playing very defensively. Usually you would want to group up in front of a building, but what they do is just stay behind and they only wait for your rally to come. They swarm it, and then you can't really do much on the building, which is what they're doing right now.
Oh, sneaky! Did anyone see sneaky tactics?
Yes, sir.
Yep, they're going for the arc.
They are running for this arc.
They're going for the arc.
Wow!
Well,
Beelining for it.
Well, I mean, this is interesting. They have to. This is a really smart play, actually. They realize, I think they're in a stun lock here, and they're trying to break that stun lock. I wish for them that they had done this sooner, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They could have done this sooner, made the arc spawn. There is going to be another arc that spawns, but...
They should have done this like 5 minutes ago.
When you're in this situation as an arc carrier, in between your cities, you could just pop into your city and insta-cap the arc. So no threat of the arc being taken, but at least there is going to be a third arc. And I don't know if what that indicates to you guys, but at least to me, there might be a sneaky tactics in play here. I mean, not a sneaky tactics, a master strategies in play here, because there's so little time from this arc spawning and the game ending that unless it's like a T1 march that's uninterrupted, I don't know if 49 will be able to capture it in time.
It would take
we'll have
you,
to see.
if you had a CC T1 march to go from the middle to the outpost, it would take you about 1 minute with a T1 march. So they don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
If they have master strategy, it's possible. They would have 10 seconds. But
They really needed to do this like 5 minutes ago, or even 2 minutes ago. You know what I mean? Like, that was a really cool play, forcing them to cap the arc like that. If they had done that sooner, this would look very different potentially, right?
it would, but honestly, when you're playing, it's not very easy to come up with a solution at the right time. It could take you a few minutes to discuss and plan it. So I can't
Yes.
really blame them. I mean,
It's
it's just
always
very
easy to like observe and comment on what's happening. It is much harder to be managing your marches and be making these calls at the same time.
That was a clutch skill though from GT, using 12 points for second arc. Well played to them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've seen that this season, right? So we've certainly seen the skill on the bar for teams, but like to combine all those points in that way, that was massive for them.
Yeah, at least in the games we've casted, we haven't seen it. Bringing it out in game 3, potential game-winning play from them, but we still have a little bit of time. I don't know if this last mid-fight will be a thing, just because of the timers, but I think the only way that 49 capture this is going to be master strategies. But 60GT, just knowing that, hey, we have a point advantage, I'm seeing more and more provisioners out in the open field. Just I see 9 now. Just 60GT marches, walking around, taking these caravans. I think provisions is going to be a big factor, even if 4 and 9 capture an arc. So, man, we'll have to see what happens in this in about 5 minutes here.
Well, realistically, if you were to provision the last 10 minutes, like your entire team sends one march out, you could get close to 2k points, but I don't really see that happening now.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out for them taking the buildings after losing the arc.
4 and 9 also provisioning as well. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 provisioners from their side as well. Just both teams just provisioning it up. 49 actually using a sentry to see more caravan nodes in the bottom lane here. So just showing that both teams scrambling for points, as taking structures back and forth is productive, but it's just so hard when you're against the best of the best teams.
It was looking fine for them, but then they started losing their shrines, which allowed for GT like to catch up a little bit in points. And at this point, they're just playing defense. I mean, honestly, there's really nothing you can do. Like, from my personal experience, this is how we lost the Grand Prix. GT were just playing very defensive. You try to time your push to have your inner lane help out outer, but it's just not enough because your rally instantly dies. And then you can just microfield the building.
CCGT already sent like one person mid just to make sure.
Yeah.
Just scouting, just to check.
I mean, they've got us down too.
That is their one pathway back. That is 49's one gateway back into this game. Provisions and a mid steal. But yeah, it's gonna be, I don't know,
Yeah, the
man.
timing will be really tight, but theoretically, if they have it on the bar, right? Master strategists take the arc back home, and they would win, potentially. I mean, it all depends
If no one
on
hit them,
the provisioning.
they would have time, yeah. They would have 10 seconds to pick the arc and TP it out.
Not a lot of room for error. But also, they need to keep the score close for that to even be a possibility, right? Like,
yeah.
What we're basically describing here is GT's kind of got this game locked up, but there is a pathway. And that one pathway hinges on there even having a skill on the bar that they honestly may not even have.
I mean, the past 2 games, they didn't have it on the bar. I don't know if they have it on the bar this time, because they're not even prioritizing this arc. So if we saw a mid-rotation right now from 489, then it would indicate to me that they have it. But the fact that no one's sending anything to mid, I would think that 489 don't have that skill on the bar. So
that's a good call out. We're reaching the point where, like, to even execute this theoretical play, they kind of need to be going to the middle at some point really soon, and they're not.
Yeah, it is. We see the 60GT March is making a line of defense of vision, just making sure, just triple checking that there's no 489 marches coming through.
Yeah, and 49 lost their shrine again, so very unfortunate, honestly. If they had captured the arc, first arc, and gambled, maybe using 6 points, they would have enough time for like a third arc, which would be in their favor by a lot. But yeah, Nice just played it very well.
There's really no denying it. 960 with the lead on the scoreboard here.
Yeah.
Put together that 12 ability point arc capture and is looking like they're going to take that to a W.
Yeah, I was going to say that it looks like that 49 was banking on winning both of these mid fights. But that 12-point mid fight from 60GT really swung it for them, allowing them to take to the death, total vision, and dust up. And it was just too much for that mid fight that 49 just couldn't come back, and because they captured that first arc late, expecting to win that second arc with their skills, 60GT was able to flip it and say, hey, no, we're going to take this arc, we're going to steal it from under your nose, and we're going to be able to take control of this game. Arc is spawning in 15 seconds. We see no 489 marches at the arc, so no master strategies in play. 60GT up by about 2.9k, and I think they might be the forever kings in Anubis with a potential win here.
I'm kind of keeping my eye on the middle because we know that sometimes the display timer is a little off, so I'm seeing we're at 0 left in the match, but the arc did just spawn. Could be as much as 60 seconds remaining here. Double C's got the arc. Where are they going with it?
Victory lap, Jessica, a victory lap.
It is a victory lap. There it is. The final score with Mr. Go. 269,000 individual points. GT, the winner. 34,411 to 31,776. And if you look at those total kills, wow. Silentflow, I'd love your reaction to that kill diff between these teams here.
I mean, usually the defending team will have more kills, because when you're trying to push the building, you're just swarming it and dying and sad facing. I don't really think it is a count difference. I just think it's down to playstyle.
There you go. Well, there it is, folks. GT, your champions. Let's get some hype in the chat. That was a heck of a game. Shout out to GT. Congratulations on yet another Ark of Osiris League win. GG and well played to 489. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already, because there's more Arc gameplay coming. The Grand Prix is what happens next. You can check out Plotto and I. We've got channels linked in the description. Any final thoughts before we close out this season of Arc of Osiris League?
I just want to add something for the skill. That it could be a slight description error because it says 1500 provision score, which is different from points. 1500 provision score would be 500 points, but I guess it is actual 1500 points, which is why 489 probably had no clue that this was even possible. So they never even considered it.
Yeah, it's end to a great season. 60 GT probably going to the realm of Horus next season if we look at the trend. And you know, Silentflow, you might be seeing them next season in your home realm, but they are going to be the forever kings of Anubis, winning every single title they've been in Anubis 4 times in a row now. So GG's to 60 GT and 489, a great attempt, but fell short in the end.
All right, my friends, thank you for an amazing season. Thank you all for viewing. I appreciate you. Thank you, Silentflow, for guesting in this final cast. Take care, everybody. Until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom. See y'all for the Grand Prix.